My cat Freddie loves to be brushed and cuddled. But stirring up his cat allergens meant sneezing and itchy eyes. Then I found Purina One Live Clear. It's cat food that reduced the major allergen and my suffering in as little as 21 days. Now, we feel closer than ever. If you have issues with cat allergens, you really need to try Purina One Live Clear.
Try new Purina One Live Clear today. Purina One, a difference from day one.
The Red Apple Media Podcast Network presents This is Protecting America. Now, here's Emmy-winning journalist Rita Cosby.
And welcome to another edition of Protecting America. I'm Rita Cosby. 4 plane crashes in just about a month, including one in recent days at the Toronto airport where the commercial jet flipped upside down. So why are these crashes happening? What are the possible causes? And is it safe to fly? Well, joining us now to discuss this and so much more is retired Brigadier General Blaine Holt. He's a retired U.S. Air Force Brigadier General, former C-17 combat commander, also former U.S. Deputy Military Representative to NATO. General Blaine Holt, great to have you here.
So good to be back with you. Thanks for having me.
What do you think is behind the plane that literally flipped over there at the Toronto airport?
Yeah, so at face value, and this is just only being able to see the videos at this point, don't know what's going on in the cockpit, don't know what the communications is, but what we do see is we've got pretty strong crosswinds for this airplane, and he's what we call crabbing into the wind, meaning he's dropping the aileron so that the airplane is nosing into the wind so he can keep his ground track. Well, if you induce too much bank into the airplane in that phase of flight and you're coming down in for a landing, you do run the risk of dragging the wingtip. And that's exactly what we saw happen on the video. The wingtip grabbed into the ice and the snow, and that immediately flipped the airplane. The wing broke away. Thank goodness, because that's probably what saved them. And then the structural integrity of that great airplane held so that folks could safely evacuate the airplane. And that in and of itself is a praise.
So in layman's terms, was a sort of overcompensating, do you think, because of the wind? What do you think was sort of going on?
So what we have to find out is we're going to have to know the wind limitations for crosswinds on that aircraft, especially in icy conditions. And then we have to go ahead and find out, did the pilot induce too much bank to try to make that runway? Or would the prudent move have been to just go around and shoot an approach to a different runway with different conditions? And the reason that I don't come down hard on that to say that's exactly what happened is because was there a malfunction with the flight controls? Did something happen that jammed them? Was there a response input that the pilot was not anticipating? So I'm a little loath to say, well, let's hang the crew. They did it. But the pilot is responsible. I heard some nonsense earlier today that air traffic control helped cause this, and Pete Buttigieg got out there and it's like, no, this is the pilot and this is the crew, but we have to find out what kind of factors that they faced, and black box examination will tell us exactly what they were saying, what was happening going into it.
You brought up Pete Buttigieg, the former transportation secretary under Biden. Yeah, he was critical of essentially the Trump administration, and a number of other Democrats were. I mean, is this hogwash? This is, forgive me, but this happened in Toronto, so it's Canadian transportation. This isn't even American. And even some of the scalebacks that they have done, they said it's not essential workers, it's not air traffic controllers, and those are in America.
Yeah, this is the playbook, and it goes across every element of the previous administration. Any crisis, any natural disaster, any accident that you see, they've already got their talking points already pre-written for the next one. Oh, well, this is Trump. Oh, well, this is their attitude towards guns. Oh, they caused this. Oh, they did this. The last administration left us in a horribly dangerous position with DEI programs running rampant, and actual monies that were supposed to be spent on airline training and safety actually went into DEI at their behest. and then they throttled companies who wouldn't get their arms wrapped around DEI. So I think it's just so tragic when we have people hanging upside down in an airplane hoping they're going to make it. And the first thing that the circus of the previous administration does is come out and says, Trump did this too. It's just, and nobody, I don't think really anybody buys this garbage anymore because it's such a repetitive formula. You just almost wait for the Trump excuse to come out anytime now.
You know, you talked about the DEI initiative, certainly by Biden, far and wide. How bad was that for whether it's aviation? I mean, you think about if a doctor is about to operate on you, a surgeon, you don't say, is he, what is his race and what is his gender? I just want to make sure they're the best doctor out there. Same thing as a pilot. I can't think of a more important position, and also air traffic control.
Oh my gosh, you nailed it. And when we start talking about the tremendous pressures our air traffic controllers are under to perform and the things that they have to do, and they just, it's a no-fail environment. You can't make one mistake, not one. You can't say, oh, gee, I missed that 747. Well, hey, Billy, you've had a great month. That was the only one. So what does that lead us to? That leads us to the only appropriate structure is a meritocracy, where only the best of the best can be in that seat, working the Chicago traffic patterns, the Toronto traffic patterns, and not miss a beat. If you're going to just say, well, you're a purple-headed llama from South Africa, so you're going to get the job, you're in real trouble then. And we see that showing up across the professions, in ships, planes, air traffic control. And I think, unfortunately, the nation is learning a really good lesson. The military is going to learn that lesson here real soon, too, as Secretary Hegseth goes around and extirpates them from their DEI nonsense, which is antithetical to readiness.
Yeah, no, he seems to be very focused on that, as the Trump administration in general has. Back to the Toronto airport, too. It is a miracle that everybody survived. When you see that plane really was a fireball and you see it upside down, how incredible is it, even for you as a very experienced pilot, to go, wow, the fact that they all got out and are going to be okay, that's really extraordinary. It's a miracle almost.
It really is a miracle. If you had actually, when I first heard the story, I didn't get to see any of the footage and I didn't know what the outcome was. I just heard, as I'm boarding a Delta jet to go to my home here in Idaho, I just heard a Delta jet had flipped upside down on a landing attempt. And I said a prayer because I was like, well, they're going to lose them all. They're going to lose every one of them. And a testament to the Bombardier company and their design on that airplane. But as bad as we're probably going to find out things happened, what about the back end crew of that airplane and the flight attendants staying on board, doing their job, getting those people to safety and helping them evacuate that airplane? I can tell you that takes courage. That takes absolute courage. And I don't care how well you've been trained for it. And so my hat's off to all of them. This is a bad situation. These things have happened. And before we go find out that, yes, the pilots are the ones who are responsible, and maybe they are, I just think we should, honor what happened here by waiting out, getting their statements, listening to the black boxes, and finding out if there wasn't something else that was present in this accident.
How does PwC take your company to the leading edge? They bring the sharpest minds in tech to your team, so you can bring the ideas that will transform your business. They're passionate about your industry, so you can walk into any room with every advantage. And they're with you every step of the way, so you can know you're headed in the right direction. PwC builds for what's next, so you can get there now. Get started at pwc.com/us/leading edge.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
This episode is brought to you by Cadillac. When you have 4 new tires, every drive feels fresh. Right now, buy 3 select tires and get 1 for just $1 during the Cadillac Certified Service Fresh Start Tire event. Visit Cadillac.com/service offers or see dealer for full details. At participating U.S. GM dealers only. Highest or equal value tire will be $1. Offer ends 5/31/2025. Not available with other offers.
This episode is brought to you by Loom by Atlassian. Are you feeling stuck at work? Get your team unstuck with Loom video messaging and move work forward. Use Loom to simultaneously record both your screen and yourself to share a quick update, provide feedback, train a colleague, and everything in between. Plus, add Loom AI to your meetings for instant written notes and recordings. Try Loom today at Loom.com. That's LOOM.com.
You know, also, I think about also the crews on the ground, because it literally did look like a fireball, which is amazing. And they obviously quickly got there, put out the fire, put the foam out. So it was really, I think, a testament to extraordinary rescue work, too, all the way, like, as you mentioned, on the plane for sure. My goodness, the flight crew, just A+. And then also on the ground, quickly responding, quickly putting out the fire, because they may not have had a chance if they didn't get there in time.
Oh, that's exactly right. The first responders and the back end crew are the reason that all of those people are alive. And without them, you can build the best airplane in the world, but without them, it's not going to go that way. And so training took over. These people are incredible, and I'm certain that, you know, everybody is just very happy to have their loved ones back. But now here's the other thing. Now, when we scope out and we look at so many accidents in such a short amount of time, we've got to really open up the aperture about what's going on with these military and commercial airplane accidents. And we've got to look for other things that we haven't looked at before. How vulnerable are these airplanes to interference, radio interference? Can they be downloaded with digital packets? Is there something else going on here that we're not so sure about yet? Does the government know stuff on these things that we just haven't been told yet? I'm waiting for something else to happen, because statistically speaking, this is a period like no other I've seen, where you have this many major accidents in military and commercial all bunched up at the same time together. They all look very different, but statistically, for this to happen in a wave like this is unreal.
Who would have the capabilities, or what would have the capabilities to interfere electronically? Do you believe, if it were to be something like that? I mean, again, we don't know, but everything's worth certainly looking into. Would it be somebody nefarious, or is it something that could just be conflicting with it electronically?
Both. It could be both. So there are, many of the aircraft systems of today have connectivity with satellites. Satellites do digital package messaging that goes down into the aircraft. And so what we've got to find out is are those messages, are they secure? I mean, it can't just be I accept the message and did I just open up a PDF file and now it has access to my software on my airplane. I'm not saying that's what's happened in any of them. I'm just saying that with such a rash of incidents so close together, my recommendation and I'm a former Air Force Accident Investigator, my recommendation would be don't limit yourself to the usual suspects. Open up the aperture and go find out if there is a thread that runs through everything. You've got to eliminate that because, accident investigations are all about preventing the next one. That's what you care about. You want to find out what happened so that you can keep people safe. And then to make sure to your audience, we do 10,000 takeoffs and landings every day in this country. And so we're still safe. We are safe. It's harsh to have this many accidents bunched up together. But when you compare that to the volume of flying we do and how much air traffic is monitored and managed every day, it's still a good system. It just, we can do better.
And where do you think we need to do better? What layers specifically?
I think we need to upgrade the infrastructure and the technology. Yes, we've got some new systems. There's a thing we call ADS-B, which is like a super transponder. It gives you much more information about the airplane and the space. But there's so many more things out there that without a burdensome cost to industry could be employed. And what we have to do is we have to engage in more training programs, and we have to return to a meritocracy. We have to have the best of the best in these very critical no-fail jobs. When you put your family on an airplane, you don't want to worry that, well, this could be a bad day for you. You want to put them on an airplane very confident that everything's going to go just the way you planned it.
Yeah, and we deserve to feel that way, especially we're America, and we should be ahead of the curve and looking at all these things and learning from whatever, technological advances that are out there that, that could be and that we haven't looked at before. Do you have confidence that the Trump administration is doing that?
I do. I've got a lot of confidence in Secretary Duffy in his, he's not a pilot, but his management leadership abilities are going to lead him. And we've got in our new FAA commissioner, we're going to have a guy that's got, 30 plus years of aviation experience across commercial and military. So we've got the right folks there. They've got an incredible mess. They need our support. But I think that if there's a team you're going to assemble to put the United States transportation system back together, and I mean air, land, and sea, President Trump's done a great job with that.
Yeah, and he seems to be clearly focused on it. And boy, what a sort of trial by fire. I mean, we saw Secretary Duffy, literally, I think it was his second day on the job. And of course, that crash at Reagan National Airport right outside of it happened. Let's talk about that. What do you think may have happened there? There are still so many unanswered questions. That was, of course, the Army helicopter that slammed into that commercial jet there.
And we still have to there's still so much to come from that. I did not like the interim NDSB report that said, well, the Black Hawk didn't have a black box. Wait a minute. Yes, it did. But it was ruptured. And I'm sorry. I know a lot of those boxes. I'm not buying the rupture part of it. And it doesn't mean that they're intentionally trying to deceive. Maybe in their rush to get information out to the public so fast that they got to make sure that they've got a good, congruent story and path to where they're going. And you've heard me say this a million times. As a pilot, I am bothered by the fact that helicopter doesn't even move off course by a millimeter. There is no flinch in that stick from a pilot, and there is no change in that position light, and it goes right into that airplane, and it goes off course towards a major airport. I don't know any military pilot that would do that. And it was out of its altitude sector on a see and avoid mission. I get the altitude discrepancies that were reported. I find them secondary. I don't find them primary because you have what we call the ultimate piece of equipment as a pilot, your Mark I eyeball, and it's supposed to be able to discern where the traffic is and avoid it. And in a helicopter, you're highly maneuverable. You're a lot slower, and you have the opportunity to do that and get out of the situation. So again, I'm not even throwing any blame on the air crew whatsoever. I want to make sure that they weren't incapacitated.
That's an interesting point. So when you say incapacitated, what do you mean by that, Blaine?
Well, did they have controls locked, and were they okay? Was there something? Were they on oxygen? Was there something present that like I said, incapacitated them? I'm not going to venture into crazy town and go find a bunch of Tom Clancy plot strands to put against this thing, but the question of why the helicopter goes straight through that airplane without budging a millimeter, it just has to be answered. And unless it's answered, well, then that one's going to be a footnote in all aircraft accidents because we just going to need an explanation. I know it's going to take some time, and I know that there's very, very good people who are investigators doing that work, but this one is a very, very different accident, and it's not just a task-saturated pilot who decided to fly into the Ronald Reagan approach corridor because they're military pilots. They know where Ronald Reagan is. If they had a problem with their night vision goggles, they'd flip them up. If they had any trouble seeing the traffic at all, they'd just pitch out and go over Anacostia or Bowling and just get out of the way of one of America's most busy airports. And so again, I hope that logical, well thought out, even if they're dark secrets or astonishing things to learn, that we're leveled with, because right now Americans in the days that we're living in expect transparency wherever we can find it. Every day around here is a Doge day where we find out another trillion went out the door, and Americans have really had it with anything other than the whole truth and nothing but the truth from the government.
Anyone can follow. It takes something special to be an original, which is why the 2025 Lincoln Navigator SUV arrives with new ways of surrounding you in luxury, including the ultra-wide 48-inch panoramic display and the multi-sensory Lincoln Rejuvenate experience. A true original never stops evolving. So meet the 2025 Navigator, the original that's all new and better than ever. Learn more at Lincoln.com. Lincoln and Navigator are trademarks of Ford or its affiliates.
Jif peanut butter. It's that jiffing good, it doesn't really need advertising. So instead, enjoy the calming sounds of the ocean. Jif. Ooh, it's that jiffing good. Get your Jif at Jif.com.
What makes a great pair of glasses? At Warby Parker, it's all the invisible extras without the extra cost. Their designer quality frames start at $95, including prescription lenses, plus scratch-resistant, smudge-resistant, and anti-reflective coatings, and UV protection, and free adjustments for life. To find your next pair of glasses, sunglasses, or contact lenses, or to find the Warby Parker store nearest you, head over to warbyparker.com. That's warbyparker.com.
Choosing a bottled Starbucks Frappuccino drink that's all flavor and just 100 calories? Easy. Choosing between creamy vanilla, double chocolate, and sea salt caramel flavors? A little harder. Try the delicious new Starbucks Frappuccino light drinks. Look for them wherever you buy groceries. Start with Starbucks coffee.
Yeah, I agree. People just want to know what happened and make sure it doesn't happen again. One of the things, too, is it was an instruction flight, right? So there was sort of the lead pilot, then there was the pilot who was sort of the number two, sort of an instruction, a training mission. Do we know if maybe they got distracted? Is it something as basic as they just lost because they were so focused on the training, not on flying?
It's a possibility, but now let me flip it the other way. The actual training mission, yes, it was training, but my understanding was this is an annual proficiency check ride. That means this is your examination to remain certified in this mission. Now, as a guy who's taken,
if that's the case, right, boy, that's an F.
Well, it is, but at the same time, you don't, when you go fly, you put a little extra something onto check ride day, because that's a big day in a pilot's life. And in my 30, 40 check rides, and I'll tell you what, I always, even as experienced as I am, when I was flying the line as a lieutenant colonel, instructor pilot, evaluator, doing mass TAC airdrops with C-17s on night vision goggles, and when I would get a check ride, I'd be nervous. I would have butterflies in my stomach, because not passing one is a very bad thing for you and your career and what happens next. So what I'm saying is if it was a check ride, I would expect them to be at their most attentive, because they want to pass. They want to do well on their check ride. Yeah, that's a great point. You would think they would be extra cautious, extra careful, extra precise. You brought up also the black box ruptured. That is unusual. Is that so shocking to you, even in a case like this? I'm just not buying it. The impact is two aircraft maneuvering at a slower airspeed. You have an aircraft at approach speed, and then you have a helicopter that's... Now, I am not going to say that it's impossible. You could have a rotor blade or something that hit that thing, but the impact to rupture a black box has to be tremendous, and it would be very unusual to see that happen. So I'm not absolutely not crying foul to the point where I'm saying somebody is a liar. I'm just saying that's a tough one to swallow. Let's go find out more about how that thing got ruptured, because then that's going to be part of the investigation. Yeah, no doubt. There are still so many unanswered questions. Wow. Well, everybody be sure to subscribe and share to this podcast.
And Brigadier General Blaine Holt, former Air Force Accident Investigator, and also C-17 Combat Commander, and so many other important titles. Thank you so much. I feel like we all learned so much through this. And obviously, let's hope those investigators and others get to the bottom of all of these crashes so we can all feel safe and secure for the future, too, as well. Thank you. It's so great to have you here.
Great to be here. Thank you.
And everybody, I'll be back soon with another great edition of Protecting America. And of course, you can catch me every weeknight, 10 p.m. to midnight on the legendary WABC Radio. This is Rita Cosby, and thanks for all you do to protect America.